event hosted by eLearning Media. Welcome to the Enterprise Learning Summit virtual event hosted by eLearning Media Group. You're now located in the main hall. You may now navigate through the event by using the event directory located just to the left-hand side, or by clicking in the Locations tabs inside the main hall. To access sessions and live webcasts, click on the conference hall location. Join your peers and industry experts inside the networking lounge. To access the FGDLA membership meeting, go to the networking lounge or the FGDLA booth. Enter the exhibit hall to see learning technology solution providers and access free product demos. You can win prizes at today's event by attending conference sessions, visiting exhibitors, joining in chats, tweeting using hashtag #ELS13, sharing the event via Facebook using the share buttons located at the bottom of your screen, and by taking
today. And we're going to hear from one of our upcoming workshop instructors at our Enterprise Learning Conference and Expo, which is going to be held on August 26th through the 28th, and that's going to be at the Anaheim Convention Center in Anaheim, California. The topic of mobile learning is kind of dominating our learning landscape at this point. And spending this year is still on the increase. Last year, mobile increased by 158%, making it the hottest item in most learning and development budgets. And this year is going to be no different. So it's the place where all the learning delivery is going to start taking place. Our speaker today is one of the emerging experts in mobile, Jon Moxley. Flat out, Jon got the top workshop ratings at ELSI last year. I sat in his workshop and learned more about how to really set up a mobile learning venue than I've ever learned from anyone else. It's one thing to write about this topic and quite another to actually make it work. So Jon is the right guy, and he's also the Director of Leadership Development at Cricket Communications. Let me show you his resume here a little bit. Jon is an expert in OD, organizational design and development and learning, and has over 25 years of experience across a lot of different venues and industries: telecom, retail, high-tech, consumer goods, even outsourcing. He's also one of our top Learning 100 award winners. So our committee of judges thought he was one of the best. And he's also achieved our Learning Professional Platinum certification, so another great credential. So Jon is going to be doing a full-blown workshop on this topic at this year's Enterprise Learning Convention and Expo, and we actually had to move the whole convention to the Anaheim Convention Center because to handle the much larger crowd that we're expecting this year. So please go ahead and register as soon as you can, because the workshops will be cut off at a certain point. With that, let's give Jon the podium. This session is going to be available for 30 days inside the virtual environment, so you can use your same sign-on you used today. If you want to invite new people to take a look, they're going to have to register. And if you don't mind, we'll hold all the questions till the end, and then I'll ask you for your questions, and we'll pass them over to Jon. And also, hashtag for this event is #ELS, so ELS 13. Jon, take it away.
Thank you, Joe, and thanks for the kind remarks in the introduction. Let me just start by explaining a little bit about our company so you have a context in terms of understanding why mobile is important to us. So Cricket Communications is a wireless provider. So we provide wireless services nationwide, and we provide those services via a number of different channels. People buy our services over the web, but most actually go into one of our stores or our dealer stores around the country. And we also have customer care centers that support our customers as well. So we have what you would expect from a wireless provider. We have a wide range of feature and smartphones. We have a range of different rate plans. We were the company that pioneered unlimited rate plans, a flat fee for unlimited voice, text, and now web and broadband services without any contract. We have roughly 600,000 subscribers, and we have, as I mentioned, in addition to our company stores and dealer stores, partnerships with Radio Shack and Walmart in particular that we sell our products through as well. So our need is to really focus on supporting the sales reps who are the primary point of contact with our customers. Now, their challenge is that they're on the floor most of the time. And especially in our dealer locations, they don't necessarily have a good training location in the back of the store where they can go through the regular training that we provide to them. And we almost have monthly training on new products, new features, changes to our point-of-sale systems, business processes, and so on. So they have a need to be able to access that training easily, in many cases on or near the sales floor. So we focused on how we could better provide access to training, and we knew that just trying to rely on the point-of-sale terminals would not be appropriate because they're pretty busy throughout the day, and they're not in a location where somebody can really focus. We also didn't want to pull the reps out of the store to a training location. That was inefficient. It doesn't work very well in smaller markets where we may not even have an administrative center. And scheduling is always a challenge when we have reps that are working day shifts, evening shifts, part-time, and so on. So we decided we weren't leveraging our core technology as well as we could, and we didn't want to rely on paper job aids as well, just due to the changing nature of the content. So that drove us to take a close look at mobile learning. Before I get into what we ended up doing, I just want to focus on our subject matter. So in addition to product knowledge, we also train our field organization on selling skills, how to provide great customer service. I mentioned our point-of-sale systems. We provide training for new hires on their job responsibilities. And we also cover professional skills like listening, providing feedback, particularly for managers and coaches, teamwork, collaboration, and consulting. So the range of subject matter that we provide to our learners is pretty diverse. So to get started in terms of piloting or doing trials of mobile learning, we began by doing 3 proof of concepts. And that was to better understand what kind of content works well on a mobile device, what is reliable across different devices, and what was a good fit to the kind of content that we provide. Now, our customers and our employees use a variety of mobile devices, but primarily it's going to be Android phones, some Android tablets, iPhones, so we're an iPhone provider, as well as iPad tablets. But by and large, the majority of our users are on an Android device. We also experimented with custom user experiences, creating a fully custom experience and a custom UI, and we worked on 3 different designs which we tested and evaluated. We also went the route of using a web-based approach to our content, such that you'd have to be connected to the web, you'd hit a website, and then you'd take your training via the browser in most cases on your device. So we didn't build any custom app. It was all dependent on the browser capabilities. What we found was, after doing the concepts, that while we could build a great experience, it wasn't scalable to the pace or the budget of our industry. So we couldn't build custom content fast enough or at the price point that made sense for training that we deliver on a monthly basis. So we decided that we needed something that would be a better fit for us. In addition, we also took a look at being able to create mobile-friendly web pages in our learning management system. We use the Oracle Learn Center system, and we actually built some pages that were mobile-friendly. So if a user went to the URL and logged in via their smartphone, they could take assessments, they could watch videos, they could download PDF files, excuse me, and they also could go to browser links and go to websites that we redirected them to. So we got good experience doing that as well. And then the last thing we did was test the use of QR codes for being able to direct students to tests when they're in a classroom environment, for example. So we've used the approach of putting a QR code up on a screen via PowerPoint, or print and post it up on the wall. And when somebody takes a course, they have the ability to use their QR reader on their smartphone, capture the code, it redirects them to the quiz, and they can complete the quiz or the course evaluation that way. So those are some of the things that we experimented on when we were really trialing this stuff, primarily in 2011. What we decided after our initial efforts was to go the route of building a fully enabled mobile platform. We wanted a single point of contact for our mobile users. We wanted a platform that was separate from the content. So many of the third parties that we worked with could provide content, but it ran via their hosted platform. And what we wanted was a platform that was more agnostic, that could handle content from a variety of different vendors as well as anything that we might build. So we decided we wanted an independent mobile platform that we could use to host our content. We also decided we wanted an app that would synchronize in the cloud so that users could store their content locally on their phone. And the reason that was important was primarily for performance reasons. By doing that, they could have a great experience. They could, in many cases, have their content downloaded in the background so that when there was time to take a course or watch a video or take a quiz, it'd be ready right there on their phone. Also, of course, enable them to take content offline, and then it would automatically synchronize with the learning management system once they were connected to the network again. We needed something that was compatible with Android, iOS, and BlackBerry devices. We also have obviously needed something that would handle HTML and a variety of flexible media formats, because our content can be, as I mentioned, video, could be a SCORM course, could be an EPUB, could be a PDF file, and other formats as well. So we needed something that was pretty capable of handling a diverse range of delivery formats and file formats. We also wanted to make sure that it was compatible with standards in the industry so that we could use third-party authoring tools. So we evaluated it on that basis as well. We didn't want to have to build all of our content using Dreamweaver or other tools for building web pages. We wanted to be able to use mainstream authoring tools that learning professionals would be accustomed to using. And the last thing that was important for us looking ahead was the ability to create games. So we felt that gamification would be something of value to our users. We knew as salespeople that they'd respond well to a gaming environment, so we want to make sure we had that capability as well. What we came up with is what we call Mobile Cricket U. And basically, it allows us to deliver our content directly to the user's device across a variety of Android, iOS, and BlackBerry devices, and host that locally on their device. The initiative we called Learn Anywhere, Anytime. And we went through a campaign to make our users aware of the capability of the system, and we set it up so that they could actually log into the system, get their own user account, and begin using it actually in a matter of minutes. So this process for accessing it is one in which somebody opts in, fills out an online form within our LMS, and very shortly, usually that same day, they have access to all the content that we've prepared for that platform. So what are some of the benefits for our store employees? First and foremost, they have their content right in their pocket, and it automatically syncs for offline viewing. So the user experience is such that when somebody turns on their phone, the content that may be ready to push to them automatically starts downloading, and they can actually see a download via the notification system on their phone. Once that's done automatically, they have all the content already there, so they don't have to pull it. It automatically pushes, and is available for them to view whenever they want. We've structured our content so that it's in short, what we call nuggets, typically 2 to 5 minutes in length, and of course they can access that throughout the day. As I mentioned, if they're on the floor, sometimes they may just want to refer to a checklist or some product or promotional information. If they have more time, they might just step into the back office and watch a 2 or 3 minute video on a new product or a selling technique. We also push all of our tests to the phone, and they can take their knowledge assessments very easily right on the phone, which is a big benefit for them because we regularly test their knowledge of our new products and services. So, some examples. We've pushed out training on tethering, so people can take their tethering and the test that goes along with it when traffic is slow in the store. They can use step-by-step guides that walk them through a particular process. For example, we have a process to ensure the customer knows all the basic features of their phone before they leave the store. And as I mentioned, we make extensive use of videos as a delivery format, so we can actually show people how to set up features on a phone. We have videos on various topics in leadership from our executive team. And we also have videos that illustrate different selling scenarios. So those are some of the ways in which we're using video as a delivery medium, and we find it works very well on a smartphone. So when we did the work, we did a pilot in April. We captured the results via survey and individual feedback. We evaluated it, and we got very positive responses. So we immediately transitioned to getting ready for a company-wide rollout, which occurred at the end of August of last year. This is a view of the form that the user fills out to sign up for the program. We had a campaign that encouraged them to sign up. Today we have about 2,200 users that have voluntarily opted in to take advantage of the tool. So what does the user experience really look like? This gives you a view of what the learning platform Mobile Cricket U looks like on your smartphone. So basically what you can see here is that from a menu, I can view assignments that have been pushed out to me. I can view any messages that have been sent. I can search a catalog, and the content in the catalog is organized by category, so I can either browse or search. I have a variety of other resources I can access, which includes information, links to websites, and so on. I can participate in online discussions directly from my phone, and we launched the gaming capability in September. So what you see here is the home page, and like many apps, it tells you when something is new right there on the home page. So those small numbers in red indicate that I have new content I haven't looked at or new announcements I haven't looked at. So in addition to getting notifications through the system, the notification system on the device, they also see those when they first open up the app. This is a view of some of the content types. So when I go into the catalog or into an assignment, I get to see a list of content. And we try to make it very user-friendly and easy. So we created custom icons with our branding, and they indicate the nature of the content. So you can see that there are things on the right side like a quick guide, which shows a folder, headphones for a podcast, a reel to indicate a video. So in addition to those media types, as I mentioned, there's other things on there such as SMS messages that some people haven't really thought about as a core media type for mobile, but in fact it's a great resource to remind people of upcoming assignments, hit the highlights of training they might have completed a week ago, or simply remind them of some of the behaviors or habits we want to make sure they do on a regular basis. So we actually make extensive use of SMS messaging as one of our communication tools on the platform. So how does one actually take a course? Well, it's pretty easy. From the list we saw on the previous screen, you simply touch the module and it automatically opens up. Many of our modules are formatted for landscape format, but like any device on a phone, typically it'll reorient to portrait or landscape mode depending on the orientation of the device. All you have to do is swipe forward and back to move forward and back in the course, and if you want to exit out of the course, you just hit the back button on your device. Now, in addition to supporting traditional learning, we're also looking at how we can extend the learning process beyond the traditional learning event. So we're taking advantage of what we know about adult learning and what it takes to really change behavior. One principle is small steps, big impact. How can we ask people to do simple things that will have a big impact? So one small step would be just to remember to go in and take your training every day. Another small step would be to make sure you greet the customer properly whenever they walk in the door. So we're using the platform to remind them to do some of the things that we kind of take for granted but may not have been a habit. Second thing we're doing is stretching the learning process out. So there's plenty of research that shows that when you space learning over an extended period of time and provide more repetition, that drives increased retention. So what we learned in the past is that when we deliver a module into the field and test people immediately afterwards, the retention is pretty high. And so we get good scores. But we find out that a month or so later, retention has dropped significantly, and they may not be doing the behaviors that we indicated should be done in the training when they first took it a month or so before. So now we're doing reinforcement to that initial training using Mobile Cricket U, and by doing that, we're creating increased retention and forming habits that probably wouldn't form otherwise. So the idea here is get people to do tasks and be proficient over time, and do it in such a way that we still maintain continuity. So one of the things we discovered was when you stretch learning out into small pieces, you lose or can lose some of the continuity that you get from going through an entire course in a half-an-hour period of time. So we've tailored our messaging and the way we break the content in chunks to have the proper transitions so that if somebody goes through content in short chunks over a period of days, they get an experience that has a similar continuity to if they had done it in a half-an-hour period of time. And that's the way we think we're really making a difference in getting a lasting impact. So what does this extended learning process look like? So this is kind of an illustration that would show you how we take a 30-minute module that might include content, some reinforcement and a test, and maybe some applications of what they've learned, and stretched it into a one-week mobile learning sequence. So now those individual pieces that might be part of one module are broken into individual learning nuggets spread out over time. And as you can see, looking at the row of icons at the bottom, that content, reflect, apply process can be repeated. So we try and create a rhythm, look at some content, reflect back on it, maybe respond with your thoughts, then apply what you've learned in a scenario. And rather than doing it all in a series of practice activities within a module, we simply stretch it out over the span of a week. So here we see that what we're really trying to do is get toward behavior change. And what we're starting with is knowledge, and we tend as learning professionals to focus on knowledge transfer. But we know to get behavior change, it requires not just knowledge transfer, but sometimes changes in attitudes, the building of skills, and the application of those skills consistently to form habits that people do on a regular basis. So that's really the end game for us, how we can enable behavior change and habit formation so people apply their knowledge and skills in a consistent manner on behalf of the client in many cases for our stores. So today we focus, or in the past we focused just on knowledge and testing that knowledge at a certain point in time. Now what we're trying to do is build habits through text messaging, the stretching out of learning over time, reminders and reinforcements that are short and to the point and are available directly on their phone. So when it comes to attitude formation, in the past, what we did was basically say, do this. If you're not complete by such and such a date, you're going to go on the naughty list. So we had a lot of focus on course completion rates and being able to identify who's complete and who's incomplete. Now what we're trying to do is give the user more autonomy, pick and choose when they want to take learning, make it easy for them to access it because it's right in their pocket, and also do other things like recognize their contributions. So our platform not only makes it easy for our users to consume content, but they can actually contribute their own and do it very easily. So for example, if somebody wants to demonstrate how they greet a customer, they can easily click a button within our app. It opens up their video recorder, and they can show us, this is how I greet a customer, or this is how I handle questions about a particular topic, or this is how I illustrate the features of our Move Music service. So now the learner is actively engaged or actually contributing their ideas and their tips. And with a couple of button presses, they can save and upload that video. We can check it out, see if it's of interest to the broader organization, and then publish it to a site that they can, again, access through Mobile Cricket U. So everything is done on the phone. Everything is done and accessed from the phone. So in contrast to other systems in which people can upload video via their PC up to a social networking site and then have to go to the PC to view it, everything is done right here. You upload from your device and you view what other people have uploaded from that very same device. So the key is that we want to make it easy. So the next thing we are focusing on is skill development. In the past, we've created isolated instructor-led training events with limited amount of skill practice. So someone might go to a half-day or a full-day course, and typically in most sales and service courses, our folks will get 2 or 3 opportunities to practice what they've learned. And we all know that that's not enough to become proficient. Now with this technology, we can push out different activities so that people can practice what they've learned in scenarios. And we can suggest scenarios on a daily or a monthly or weekly basis. So it extends the practice out, gives the student more time to practice with a wider variety of scenarios than they could have done within a classroom environment or a one-day format. And as a result, we think we're going to get more effective behavioral change. And we can also stretch them. We can be able to put them in scenarios that might be a little bit different or more challenging and gradually build their proficiency because we have the time to do it. And it's done in the store as opposed to in an isolated classroom. That's another point I just want to point out, which is that there are a lot of studies that show learning within the environment in which you apply the skill is more effective than learning outside of the environment. So the mere fact that our folks are taking training in the store and practicing on the sales floor using the scenarios right from their phone should make their retention higher and accelerate their habit formation. So as I mentioned, habit is really the end game for us. In the past, we've run training. We haven't really had the ability to follow up on a consistent basis to see what people are doing. We really left it up to the individual to practice. And truth is, we know that many times they're going to get distracted by other things and not do the practice necessary to form lasting habits. And as a result, change rarely occurs. Now, through SMS reminders, checklists, short reinforcement quizzes, and other surveys to follow up and determine if they're applying what they learned, we think we're promoting habits, we think we're promoting practice, and we think we're going to get better behavior change. And the feedback we've been getting from users indicates that that's starting to happen. The last thing we do here, illustrating how the process can work, is use triggers so that once somebody completes an activity, they're prompted to do the next step. So what's key here is that the triggers can be based on a variety of kinds of activities. Here, it's very simple. You complete one step, and then it automatically delivers an assignment for the next step. So in this example, we might start by presenting an overview of the topic, maybe illustrating with a video example, giving them a short assessment to test their knowledge, reinforce those key points with some SMS messages over the next several days, maybe send out a review checklist a week later, and then send them a reminder to practice what they've learned on the job with a peer on the sales floor, and then at the end of the process, acknowledge they've done those activities via survey that we push out. So each of those are, in our framework, nuggets, and imagine that this is spread out over a 1 or 2 week period of time. I want to talk briefly about gamification. We think games are a great way to engage our learners and make that experience fun so that they actually look forward to playing games and making progress. One aspect of games that are important is a point system. So even if you're not competing against other people and you're not a competitive person by nature, many people just respond to point systems. For example, my wife is a special ed teacher, and she's been using point systems for over 20 years. And it's effective because points are a way for people to measure their progress. So even if you don't buy into the notion of games as a competitive experience, the fact that you can attach point systems and people can see their progress is an effective way of motivating people to learn. So we've tried out games with our platform. The first one that we started with was a game that introduced our 4G LTE broadband technology. So like other carriers, we're offering 4G high-speed access via your phone or a broadband device. And so we built a module around that. We then took that into the markets where we offer 4G service, and people could play the game. There's a storyline to the game in which you're trying to make your way through a story. We have characters that appear on screen, and you can see the cartoon characters here. The fellow in the middle is kind of a helpful guy that helps you out, and the one at the bottom is one who's kind of your nemesis. He challenges you and kind of pushes you to prove your ability and your knowledge. Embedded into the games are different activities you can do to gain points. You can be presented with challenges, and sometimes you lose points if you fail to step up to the challenge or you get the answer wrong to a situation. As people progress in the game, they actually can advance by level, so they get a feeling of progress and the recognition and satisfaction of advancing. And we also award badges based on completing a set of modules on a particular topic. Another key component of the game is the leaderboard. And in our case, we set up a leaderboard so that an individual could see how they're doing individually compared to other people in their market. But we also had a group leaderboard that showed how every store in the market was doing against the others. So basically, it stack ranked all the stores and it showed the top 5 stores in the market. So you could tell where your store was compared to the others. In our case, we had some simple rewards for the top store in the market. You got a pizza party for everybody in the store at the end of the game. So nothing elaborate in terms of rewards, but people really like the fact that they can compare how they're doing with their peers working in other stores in the same city. This game was time-bound, so we had it set up to run for 2 weeks. And we also had bonuses. So if you completed your content, you got additional points if you did it sooner than later. Because what we wanted to encourage is not to wait until the due date to complete it. We wanted people to play the game and progress as quickly as they could. The sooner they complete the game, the sooner they have the knowledge and they can apply that back on the floor. So we have incentives built into our games that reward people that get through the content more quickly than others. So what are some of the lessons that we learned from this experience? First of all, we learned a lot from just talking to our users and surveying what they liked and what they didn't like. So I would encourage anybody who's trying this type of learning out to try a variety of things and ask people, run small pilots with different types of users. And we found that different types of users had different preferences. So the preferences of somebody who works on a sales floor was different than the preferences for somebody who manages our network and manages our base stations and our technology. So users really helped us to fine-tune the experience and focus on what they value the most. Secondly, I think it's important to manage the data integration with a learning management system if you have one. So we're actually in the process of finishing that process up so that anything that we publish in our learning management system can be also published to our mobile platform. And when people take tests or complete modules on the mobile platform, it automatically goes back to the LMS. So having an integrated environment in which they feel like they're connected under, in our case, one Cricket University, we think makes it simpler for the end user. And they expect to see the results that they do on their phone reflected in their transcript back on the learning management system. So planning ahead for that, I think, is important. I think it's also important to test your development tools. What we learned is that while some development tools claim to be mobile ready and mobile friendly, what that really means is that you can create content that will work on a high resolution tablet, but it doesn't necessarily transfer very well to a lower resolution handheld phone or device. So I think it's important that, especially at this level of maturity in the market, that you try out different platforms and build content, try it out on your phones to make sure that it works effectively. And my experience is that many claim to, but very few actually do. Also, I think it's important to keep your events and chunks short and simple and to the point. So what we assumed and what we learned was that people don't want a duplicate of their online learning. They don't want to take half-hour modules on their phone. We don't have to take all the content we offer in other formats and put it on the device. So we really focus on the kinds of content that people can consume in short periods of time, the kinds of reference material that would be handy to have in your pocket on your phone, and basically keep the content simple. That's one of the reasons why our tutorials are pretty straightforward. They don't take long to play. If it's a scenario, they can complete that scenario in a manner of minutes. So we try and keep it simple, small chunks, easily consumed, with reference material that people can access over and over again that would be useful to them on the sales floor, in our case. Also, delivering content via triggers is effective as well. One of the things that we've done in the past is build a learning plan that consists of multiple items. And sometimes our learning plans get pretty big. We have an onboarding learning plan that's about 30 items in length. And what we know from experience is that it's a little intimidating for learners when they have a long list to get through. We think it's better actually to kind of spoon feed the content to them one at a time. So instead of giving our learners a list of 30 items, in some cases we'll give them the first item, and when they finish that, that triggers the next item to be pushed out, and so on. So they feel they're making progress, but they don't feel like they have such a long task list that they'll never get through it. Also, we think messaging is really critical. Text messaging is a way to remind people to do the things they should be doing, focus on key ideas or facts that they have to keep in mind are very important. And it's simple to do with a text message. It's something somebody can pull up and read in a matter of seconds, so it's not disruptive to the day. And we can actually build a schedule of those, sync to our product launches, so we find that's very helpful as well. Make the user experience easy. It's critical, really, that the user experience be simple for someone to go into, access content, contribute if they choose to, and then get out of. Users don't really need more complication in their life. I think everybody understands that. So we've spent a lot of time to make it as simple as possible for our users, knowing that they're not on mobile CU every hour of the day. So when they do go in there, we want it to be a simple process. I also encourage you to use gamification and try it out and see if point systems and other ways of creating a gaming experience is engaging for your learners like it's been for ours. And the last point is pilot test whatever you try. What we learned is that doing a short pilot, making revisions, and then running another one is a great way to test out ideas and quickly fine-tune the best approach. And pilots tell us far more than sitting in a room trying to design the perfect game or the perfect platform. So we've gone through many, many iterations now of both the platform and the game format, and it's really begun to pay off. So that's the end of this program. I think at this point we're going to turn it over to questions. Thank you, Joe.
And let me start you off with a couple. I'll do a couple of housekeeping items. This is going to be a 5-credit offering just for coming to this one, and we also want to let you know a couple other things. It stopped moving, so that this was all sponsored by eCornell, but I want to really remind everybody that you're going to be doing a workshop out in the Anaheim area at Elsie Show. So it came back, and John, you can see that your handsome face is up there again. Let me just scroll through the end of this. I'm so sorry. And some of the things that I think I wanted to point out that I learned on this one is that, and I'll leave that up, that's the Elsie Show, is how powerful the text messaging was. I mean, you did it in conjunction with offering these courses out to people, but I did some research afterwards, and it led to me doing an article in a recent magazine where I'm projecting by 2015 that mobile is really going to be the dominant delivery methodology here for us in the learning organization. But some of the stats about just the texting part alone that I discovered, I just thought were amazing. So first of all, 6% of all people have Twitter accounts. 33% have Facebook. Only 37% actively use email anymore, which is kind of interesting. But 92% of us have cell phones, and 98% of us are text-enabled. And so the other astounding fact was that 97% of the folks opened those text messages, and 95% of them opened them within 5 minutes. So I applaud your thinking here on going ahead and using that as a way of reminding folks. That's kind of a lesson learned for all of us, that we could even incorporate that sort of a thing into our regular learning. I think that was a good thing, John, that you pointed out. And the other thing that I wanted to make sure you had a chance to repeat yourself on was about the area of choosing between making this a web application and going with an app. And can you tell us some of the things that you considered when you made that decision? Because I think that's probably, you know, a tipping point for most of us. Do we you know, web enabled, or do we mobile enable our own websites, or actually do we head off in the direction that you did?
Well, I think that I wouldn't recommend necessarily one or another approach. They all have their pros and cons. The advantage for us of going with an app was that it allows you to control the experience much more so than if you simply are pointing someone to a web page on their browser. Now, we didn't build an app, and we wouldn't have built an app. What we used was an app that is provided by a third party called Cellcast. The app is really like an LMS on a device. So it allows us to put our content in there. It allows us to convert content very easily and distribute it out. A couple of other things we really like about the app is that it allows us to control the content. So we can instantly remove access to the content from any user we want remotely. And not only can we block their access to the app and the content, but we can wipe the app and the content off their device. So it gave us some security advantages that we couldn't get with simply a browser-based solution, particularly if we wanted to enable people to store content on their device. And we think that having access to checklists and other kinds of reference material or job aids on the phone is a great use of the technology, yet we wanted to be able to control that, and the app gave us that ability to control it. Now, the downside to apps is that you have to be careful in your testing to make sure that it's compatible with all the devices that might be accessing your content. So we probably do a little bit more testing than we would have done if we went the web app approach and simply created a website like many people do. But we think the value of that control of the user experience is a benefit that we think is very useful. That's the reason why we went that route.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's all good advice, and I know you spend a lot more time on these decisions when you actually do the workshop, but this was one that everybody, you know, chimed in on and had a lot of questions. And I see now we're starting to pile up with some of the questions, so at this point I'm going to break it off and then see if we can handle some of these questions from the audience.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, great stuff, John. So we're going to turn it over now and see if we can get some questions from the audience, and perhaps we can ask folks how they are approaching mobile at this point, and what kind of problems they might be having in the mobile arena. So anyone who has a question at this point, just go ahead and type it into the chat box, and John and I will do our best to answer it.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Joe, there are a few questions already in there. If you'd like, I can start with those.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So first question is, are you concerned about safeguarding the IP of your content? And the answer is definitely yes. Much of the content is proprietary and specific to our company and intended only for our employees. So one of the things we like about the platform that we're using, which is a third-party platform called Cellcast from OnPoint Digital, is the fact that it allows us to control the content that's on the individual's mobile device. So, for example, if we decide that we want to remove access to our app and our content, we can remotely do that, and we can prevent the individual from accessing content even if it was downloaded already to their phone, and also disable the app remotely as well. So there's some security features built into it that are important. In addition, there's physical security in terms of the data center, security around the server, security around the transmission of information to the mobile device. So that's one of the things we liked about the Cellcast platform.